Hi, I'm Joe Soleil with Federal National Commercial Credit. This is the 8th video in our series, Factoring Costs, the 10 most misunderstood cost drivers. Today we're going to talk about application fees and out-of-pocket expenses. First, application fees. Most factoring and asset-based lending companies charge an application fee of some kind or another. You know, when an application package is submitted, that begins the first real work on the part of the finance company. They begin their due diligence, they begin reviewing it with their credit committee. There's a lot of work going on there. And many of them view the application fee as at least a partial offset to the costs of doing that kind of review. They also view it as a test of seriousness. They want to be sure that if they're going to embark on that level of attention and effort, that you're not just casually shopping, that indeed you're interested enough that you'll put up a few $100s to get this process going in earnest. Application fees vary widely. Some factoring and asset-based lenders charge no application fee. Most will charge application fees that are a very few $100, $200, $300, $400, $500. That's the general range. There are some factors and asset-based lenders that will charge application fees in the thousands of dollars. So it's important to pay attention to what they are. And there are some finance companies out there that vary the application fee they charge based on the size and complexity of the business you're bringing into them. So in a nutshell, that's application fees. Now let's talk about out-of-pocket expenses. Virtually every factor and asset-based lender will charge for their hard costs out of pocket in support of your relationship with them. Most of the time, these are fairly small amounts. They may involve lien search and filing fees. They may involve their wire transfer fees, the costs that they have to pay their bank to wire money to you. They may be background checks, credit reports. These are the typical out-of-pocket expenses. And if you look at those numbers in most relationships, they're not very significant dollars. But they are costs for services that the finance company actually pays for. They're hard costs. They're not the costs of their staff doing this or that. They're hard costs that they have to pay in support of your relationship. Sometimes out-of-pocket expenses can get very expensive indeed. And some examples of this would be attorney's fees. Anytime lawyers start to get involved, that could get very expensive. Audit fees. Are they going to perform an initial audit on your account, or will they periodically have audits on your account? Audits can be very expensive, particularly when you include the travel expenses that may be associated with auditors traveling to your location. Credit insurance is another thing that can cost a lot. Not everybody charges all of these things. Most factoring and asset-based lending companies are set up so that in the ordinary course of business, attorneys don't get directly involved, and most do not require credit insurance be provided for your account. But in some cases, that's not true. There may be something involved with your account that requires that attorneys become involved. Or this may be a factor or asset-based lender that does require that credit insurance be purchased for all of their accounts or for your type of account. And audits, audits are going to vary on the size of your relationship. They're going to vary from one factor or asset-based lending to another. Everybody has different policies on these things. So it's important to know if you're going to have field audits, field exams, and what those are likely to cost. So it's very, very important with respect to out-of-pockets that you ask these questions. What are the out-of-pockets? What can you expect them to be? Will attorneys be involved? Can you expect there to be audits? If so, how much will they cost? Is credit insurance required in your relationship? You have to ask the questions and pay attention to the answers and read your agreement very carefully. I'm Joe Soleil with Federal National Commercial Credit. Thanks for watching today.